Welcome to another episode of Finding Serenity in the Midst of Chaos podcast. Today we're talking about changing your relationship with time, the art of slowing down to speed up. Stay tuned. Hello, Ian.
Hello, Chulai.
How
Here
are
we
you
are
today?
again.
Here we
Yeah,
are
all
again.
right. All right. Got a bit of sun shining down in the studio
Oh,
actually at
I
the
know.
moment. So
It's good.
I'm resisting the temptation to pull the blind down at this stage.
No, sun is good, isn't it? We haven't seen much
Yeah,
of it this year so far.
we haven't, although, at time of recording, we're February still, February 2024. And I was out the other day. The sun was shining down. I actually could feel a little bit of warmth. I'm not going to call it heat. It wasn't burning by any means, but I could feel just that tender warmth on my face coming from the sun.
That's cool. The
I thought,
temperatures are not that dissimilar to what we would have in July in the UK, but probably
yeah, I
this
know.
14 degrees in July might feel slightly different. One would
Yeah,
hope.
it's all relative, isn't it? It's a funny old business temperature. A lot of these apps now say, the temperature is 17 degrees, feels like 13, or
Yes, there is that.
4 feels like -7, that sort of thing. It's all about what does it feel like? I think that's sensible. I think that is a sensible measure because
Mm,
with our heating system, if it hasn't been on and it's 18 degrees, it can feel a bit chilly. If it's
oh,
been on and it's 18 degrees, it can feel quite warm. So
it's the humidity, I guess, isn't
it
it?
could be. Yeah. 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 So is today a technical talk all about the weather and temperature and energy, or have
Well,
we got
no,
some
not
other
quite.
other element to talk about,
There may be
maybe?
some element of energy, but we are talking about time, our absolutely favorite topic, and the topic that we keep coming back to time and time again, and the topic
Well
that
done.
is the most relevant to people that are listeners and the people I work with, and for all of us really, because the time is the only finite resource that we have, and something that we never get back is time.
Yeah. I
And
was
this,
asked to define time once in a physics lesson, and
oh, okay.
the answer I gave as a 14-year-old was it's a continuous process involving change. I mean,
Wow.
I'm pleased with what I said as a 14-year-old. I might put it a bit differently now,
Hmm.
but yeah, it's hard to define what time is.
Hmm.
And then people start getting into things like time travel. Will we ever be able to time travel? And I mean, I think no. I think no, we never will. Because
Oh,
if we could, in 200,000 years' time, if the Earth's still here, and we could time travel, we'd be seeing people coming back now
oh,
from the
that's far too over my
yeah,
head and
yeah,
out of the
and mine,
scope of
and
our
mine.
podcast. But
Let's stop there. But yeah,
but
time's
we
important.
we
Go on.
do time travel in a way,
Oh,
because most of us live in the past.
oh, very good. I like it. Yeah.
We constantly overplay the past events in our mind. And I'm going to
Yeah.
come to that in a second, why
All
that
right.
happens.
Okay.
And that happens again subconsciously. And when we make it conscious, we can change it to we can change it. And we've talked about it before at the earlier times in this year about
Yes.
why we continuously repeat our patterns, the old patterns, because we constantly refer to the past.
Yes. Okay. Yeah.
And the one reason for that is because our brains are obviously designed to keep us safe, designed to preserve energy, designed to make us, make our lives easier. And it does do that very well for things like we don't have to ever think about how to drive, how to ride a bike, how to brush our teeth, or whatever. Those are things that we have done it before. And once we repeat
Right.
the number of times, we can do it in autopilot, if you like.
Yeah. Yeah. Good thought. Yeah. Yeah. I
But
understand that.
that also, another function of our brains is to keep us safe. And as we said many times before, it doesn't know the difference between what's real and what's imagined.
Mm.
And if something is out of slightly unfamiliar to us,
Yes.
even
Yep.
if it's just to having spent most of your time at home and you want to go out and meet new people, that's still out of the ordinary, and your brain will think, oh my god, there's something really dangerous is happening, is going to put you into fear, and fear will make you not do that and find all the excuses, find all the reasons, and so it's basically going to put you into fight or flight mode, which means that you're going to either fight, flight, or freeze and not do anything about it. So how does this come into when it comes to looking at the past all the time? Is because when you are faced with something unfamiliar, you want to be in the familiar, you want to be in the safe, and the unfamiliarity maybe comes from, I haven't done this before, therefore I'm not going to do this because it's unfamiliar. Or you could say that I've done this in the past and I failed, therefore I'm not going to do it again. The
so
past,
it can be dangerous.
Exactly, the past events that we keep playing in our minds and if these could be the past events that happened when we were little, as you were saying a couple of episodes ago about your memory from 8 years old, whatever. We keep playing that in our mind because that was obviously quite important to you at the time. You bought into the idea that, I forget now exactly what the event was.
It was about half term, and looking forward to the fact that, I just feel so tired. I don't realize how tired I was, just looking forward to the half term.
So maybe the tiredness, maybe whatever else, you keep bringing it back because your brain remembers that. So the memory brings, so there is a bit of time travel. Though we're not talking about time travel, the past events, this specific element of putting us in the fear is very important because most of the things that we don't do, for example, like self-care, we talked about self-care a lot last week. And we don't find time for self-care because if we don't do everything for everyone else first, we feel like we are going to be let's go back for 1 second. There's 2 reasons why we don't do that. It all comes from fear. Fear of loss. Fear of loss is because fear of losing your identity. Losing your identity of a high achiever, an ambitious person, someone who can always rely on, someone who is always there for everyone else. That's your identity. So if you would be in the fear of losing that, and why would you fear of losing that? 1, because it will be uncomfortable for you, and 2, because everything that is associated with your worthiness is associated with all the doings and all what you do for everyone else. When you stop doing that, you will feel like you're not good enough anymore.
Wow. Yeah. That's worth thinking about.
That is. And
I mean,
second,
go on.
Let me finish this bit because we're going to discuss the second element of that. So fear of loss, your identity because you won't feel good enough. And the second fear is that you will be abandoned by the people that you love.
Oh, okay. Right. Big one. Yeah. Okay.
And that's because, again, if you're not the person that you believe that you are, as everyone is ready being there for everybody, you lose your tribe, they will not love you anymore, and all of that. So these 2 fundamental fears drive everything that you do. This is why we continuously put things on our plate to feel worthy, to feel good enough, and to be part of that tribe that we value so much. Does that make sense?
It does, yeah. I'm kind of summarizing that in my head a little bit, thinking, well, if we do certain things that are creating this fear, or we don't do things because of the fear, it's as though we're going to lose everything that we love, everything that's important to us, including our own self worth,
identity,
an image, an identity. Yeah. So yeah, and obviously we mentioned time travel. We mean thinking back in the past, and there's some security in that, isn't there? Because or not. I can remember it went terribly wrong, or I can remember that was brilliant.
But the security element comes from the fact that it keeps you in the same place, even though the same place that you're in isn't necessarily pleasant. You may think you don't like it, but it still keeps you safe because it's familiar, because it's what you've always done, right?
Yes.
And that's what the twisted safety is about. You're gaining something of that safety, even though it's not helpful for you anymore.
Great. Yeah, now people might want to sort of hit their pause buttons or rewind and think
Oh
about that,
yeah, there's
listen
a
to
lot
that
to
again
take in.
at this point. So that's fine. But for those of you that are carrying on, I can't help but think, Chulai, that you've got some solutions or at least some ideas about what we can do about these strange
Absolutely.
scenario.
Absolutely. And before we go on to the solutions, make sure you hit the subscribe button, especially if you're watching this video on YouTube, because what I'm going to give you, the remedies, is going to blow your mind and help you going forwards. And that also means that you will never miss any of these videos ever again. So yeah,
And
please
there's a lot that
subscribe.
we've already done. Talking of time travel, they go back, and
Yes,
you know, YouTube is a time travel machine, really.
it is.
You know, you
That's
can come
right.
forward back in time as much as you like, and it'd be well worth you doing it. But you need to subscribe and be
Yes,
part of the family, I suppose. Let's put it
that's
that
right.
way.
That's right. And one thing I was gonna say, which, whew, yeah, the time travel again. Uh,
Right.
we can also go forwards, and
Okay.
that's
Right.
about if you think about an athlete visualizing their Olympic finals,
Got you.
how
Yeah.
they need to, achieve a certain time, whether they've, got that trophy or medal or whatever. This is how they achieve that by visualization. There's obviously an awful lot of training that goes into it, but
Sure.
that's only the part of it. The other part is in your mind and making sure that you achieve that, you believe that you can achieve that, and you see yourself achieving that. And that's the future time travel. But also, that's the positive part of future time travel. And
Okay.
what most people that I work with do, some of us also do this, time travel to an unwanted future. And this is why we live in anxiety most of the time.
Fascinating. Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. All right. That makes sense. As in the same way that we can look back and say that was good, that was great, we can look forward and say this is going to be great or this is going to be a complete disaster, you know.
Well, yeah. Well, the more often than not, people, this is a complete disaster. What am I going to do? What if this happens? What if that happens? Constantly think about that unwanted feature that is not even there and likely is
Yes.
not even going to happen. But the more we think about it, the more we are likely to make it happen, as you know.
Mm, yes, we've talked about this again. You know,
Yeah.
listen back. You know, again, podcast searchers, you'll find stuff on this. But yeah, we want to keep you know, talking about this over and over again. You know, repetition is good. It's not that we've run
Mhm.
out of things to say and we're repeating. It's you know,
Yeah.
it's all relevant, and we need to keep soaking ourselves in all this
Mhm.
stuff, don't we?
And every time you hear this, you're going to hear something different. You're going to, get it in a different way entirely, and you're going to get the context
Absolutely.
because. So anyway, talking about the remedies.
Yes, 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 yeah.
So, I mean, slowing down to speed up. Why can't we slow down when everyone knows how to manage their time, dare I say? You have to put things in your calendar. You have to block times to do certain
Mm.
things as opposed to
Yes, yes,
jumping from
yes.
one thing to another.
Yeah.
You have to set some boundaries to say no to something in order to be able to say to your other things. Everyone
Yes.
knows this.
Fair enough. Yeah, we
Yet,
do.
yet 90% of the people don't do it. And it's
That's
because of
correct.
the
Yeah.
reasons that we've spoken about it, because it's going to put you in fear. It's going to put you in this anxiety. It's going to put you in this, um, you know, basically fear state where you feel uncomfortable. And when you
Well,
feel
that's right.
uncomfortable, you want to go back to your comfort.
Mm.
So even though everyone wants to slow down, they are not slowing down because of this loss that they will experience. But then when we now know that this is a trick that brain is playing on you, if you like, you can
Yes.
overcome that. As we said last week, awareness is the first step to transformation. So when you're
Mm.
aware, transformation can start. So you can just say to your brain, you know what, I've got this. This is fine. I can slow down. And it doesn't mean, I'm not suggesting to anyone right now, if you got a million one things to do, just go and sit down and do nothing. I'm not
Mm-hmm.
suggesting that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But reconsider how many of those million one things you really need to do. How many of these can be done by someone else? And
Mm.
how many of these things can actually be done another time as opposed to
Yeah.
right now and today? So this is a really obvious but very important trick, if you like, or a hack as you might want to call, to be
Yeah, I
able
like
to,
that.
yeah,
Yeah, a
to be
hack.
able
Let's go
to,
with a hack, shall we? Yeah.
yeah, to be able to manage your time better. Does it need to be done now? Does it need to be done at all? Does it need to be done by me?
Mm,
And then if
mm,
the is no, then you can find someone else to do it as good as you. Because yes, okay, people will say, they're not going to do it as good as me, but then it's your job to train them in order to get through this, and then you can actually save yourself so much more time in the future and the headache and all the energy that you can save. Imagine, right?
mm,
So,
mm.
and also slowing down, it doesn't mean you have to do nothing all day long. You
Uh-huh.
can literally take 5 minutes out of your day to just breathe and just be
Mm.
in your silence.
Yeah, I think
I
that's really good. I was just listening. I'm not going to go into this in great detail. Listening earlier to a podcast or a broadcast on, proper rest, and people saying, "Well, I binge watch EastEnders for
mm,
15 hours." I say, "Well,
God forbid.
that's
Oh my
yeah,
God.
and they're saying, "Well, that's not proper rest." Why don't you take 5 minutes, just exactly what you've said, which is what
Mm.
reminded me about the broadcast I listened to. Take 5 minutes out to just look out the window and just you know stop and just be.
It's like saying I'm gonna binge watch the news.
The
It's
news. Oh,
I'm not sure which one is worse. I'm not gonna repeat the
well,
name of the
no.
show that you mentioned, but
It was an example. Other shows
yeah,
are available,
of course.
folks, and
But
it's how you spend your time.
exactly. So it's yes. I know we do watch the telly to, switch off, and there is a time and a place for that too. But
Absolutely, we do the
it
same, and we're going to
mm,
carry on doing it, and it
mm.
works in that way for us. But yeah.
But in the day when you're in the middle of the work, when when you're feeling a little bit,
Yeah.
in between tasks and whatever, you can literally just take a minute to breathe and have a look around and just take the environment in. That in itself will remind your brain to calm it down or slow it down, and that's just simple little acts like this. And recently some of my clients have traveled abroad, and they were having like long days and whatever, and they found they couldn't switch off at night, and they couldn't therefore have a good restful
Yeah.
night's sleep. And it's because their mind is going all day and they haven't had a
Yes.
chance to slow down. And what I said to
Yeah.
them was to come back a little bit earlier. You're in go, 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 go all day. Come back, just skip the social dinner, or come back a little earlier. And before you go
Yeah.
to bed, make sure you just take 5 minutes to meditate, a gratitude routine, which we have an audio for our
Hmm.
listeners to,
Yes. Yes.
put
Yes.
out. So just do that, because when your mind is focused on slowing down, it will slow down. And breathing, again, it's just 5 minutes of breathing will reduce significantly your cortisol, your stress hormone, and that
Mm,
will help you just, you know, be able to rest and slow down. So people probably are so afraid of, slowing down,
mm,
like a big sharp slowdown, and that's
mm.
not going to happen. I don't know if you ever heard this example of people who retire after long service of
Yeah.
years of service. As soon
Yeah.
as they retire, they literally either they go ill and or they pass, because they lost that identity of
Mm.
working whatever, and then they no longer want to be, because they lost themselves. And that's like a
I have heard of that. Yeah. It's
long
it's
long
very
work
sad.
long working years, and then all of a sudden nothing to do with themselves. So it's always good to have something outside of work, to have to occupy you. And as we said
Yes.
before, you are not what you do. You are not your job title. You're a whole being that brings so
Yes.
much to
Very
this world.
important.
Yeah.
Very important, and so commonly overlooked and not
Mm,
done. I've tried very hard during my time in industry to think that way, and I've been successful in thinking like that. So,
yeah.
but it doesn't come natural, and I'm very big supporter of you are not what you do.
Mm,
You are who you are, not
hmm.
what you do, and then it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
you know, yeah.
Yeah, so there is a lot to consider in this episode. Encourage everyone to go back and re-listen, maybe take some notes, maybe write down a couple of notes about how they can slow down. It's what point in the day they could take that 5 minutes to literally just be in their silence, or just go be in nature, because that will help you really reconnect with that. And yes, time travel, I think we answered that question now. We do time travel, not in the sense that it's,
Not
you know,
scientifically. No,
not in the sense that the films put
that's right.
in front of
Yeah.
you, but it is possible to time travel, and we do this all day long.
Yes, and it has an impact. Just one little tip from me, and you can say if this is good or bad, Chile, but perhaps in that 5 minutes you could go through the day in your head and just say, well, this was good. I'm
Mm,
grateful for it. I'd like more of this.
hmm
This really wasn't good. I didn't enjoy it. This was terrible. And
mm,
I'm trying to not be in that situation again. Oh, and then something else was really good. So, you're kind of remembering, you're going through the day and just, yeah, I enjoyed that. No, I didn't
mm.
like that, and just being grateful for the things that you did enjoy and the things that were positive. Is that a good? What do you think of that? Is that any
That's
good?
a good one. The only thing that I would add, or maybe amend slightly, is to,
Please, yeah.
instead of saying this was terrible, yes, perhaps acknowledge that I did not enjoy this experience, but what was it there to show me? Why is it that I didn't enjoy? What else can I do
Right.
differently? That's, instead of saying this was terrible, whatever, that's just
Yeah, that's too negative. Yeah, that's
it's
just writing
negative,
yourself.
but you're just basically taking responsibility, being responsible for the situation. How could I
Okay.
handle this situation differently, or how could I experience this differently? Or is it just as it was, and that's fine, acknowledge it and go past it. But
Yeah.
as we said before in part of the gratitude uh, episodes, there's nothing good or bad, it just is. And nothing bad ever happens, it's just your interpretation. And whilst you may not like it at this point in time, it is actually for your purpose and to help you grow in some way. So
That sounds like a really good place to leave the discussion for today, Chulai.
absolutely. Thank you. And yes, see you next time.